What's up, everyone? Have you always wanted to know where a lot of Pokemon TCG's history comes from? It's a game that's been alive for 25 years almost now. Well, Alex Wilson, a good friend of mine, decided to put together a website called PTCG Legends, and I told him I'd make a video on it when he launches the website. Well, he decided to do it today on Christmas Day. So this is the website you guys can go to for all of Pokemon TCG's history, and Alex is currently still working on it, so if you have any contributions you'd like to offer, like deck lists and things that are, harder to find in eras past, please leave them in the comments below or DM Alex Wilson directly on Twitter. So huge shout out to Alex for putting this together. I know it's been a passionate project of his for quite a while, because there's been all these sites that have existed, some for retro decks, some for certain formats, some for certain years. Like Limitless does current formats. I think PTCG Archive has up until 2013. But why not just put everything in one place for someone who is a fan of the game to come and just enjoy what's going on? Now, that's what Alex ended up doing. So let's check out the website together. There's decks from every era here. A little bit of an intro here. Welcome to PTCG Legends. Whether you're a retro deck builder, a veteran player reminiscing on the past, or wanting to take a look back at the World Championships with the dream of becoming the next, this site is catered to all interested in the competitive side of Pokemon TCG. So, amazingly there, yep, decks from every year. There's a little aside there. World Championships from each year with info, final results, some image galleries. I've contributed to some. If you guys are going to certain World Championships or have pictures from certain World Championships, please submit those to Alex as well. I'm sure he would appreciate having more storylines, more pictures. The more information, the better for things like these, because a lot of this will be immortalized in history, and as time passes, these things will slowly disappear from our phones, our cameras, etc. And so having one resource to kind of come back and find them is very crucial. And here's a message from Alex. I'm not going to skip this because Alex is amazing. Here's his Twitter right here. You guys should all follow him. He's awesome. I've been playing the Pokemon TCG since 2010. I've been enveloped by Pokemon since I was in kindergarten in 1999. While I'm more so known for being a top competitor in the XY Sun Moon era, I'm an avid retro deck collector. Alex does have one of the coolest retro deck collections of all time. I think he has almost every deck and hundreds of them at that too. I've played some of them. They're awesome. And love reminiscing on the past, what will be forever my favorite hobby. I agree with Alex. Oftentimes I find myself scrolling through old forums looking for decks I may have forgotten about, or rewatching World streams late at night. Over the pandemic, I did that a lot as well. 2 years of no Pokemon kind of made me go back and enjoy all the things that I've missed. Watching videos all the way back to 2011, which is the earliest you could find, really. While there's been plenty of sites that have been provided amazing information, they all seem to stick to one niche. Only deck lists from select years, just results, player stats. Personally, I was tired of having to remember which website contained whichever desired info that I was searching for. Thus, I took things into my own hands and created this massive site that has every possible grain of information from historic past events one could ever hope for. So, awesome for Alex. We're going to start with the contact page if you guys want to talk to Alex. Or these are all of his links right here to kind of help him out build the site. So this is a fan project, even though this is Alex at his core doing it for a passion project. But what you guys can contribute will always be important. Let's jump into Worlds. It's got all of the Worlds that go all the way back to 2002 in Seattle, Washington. We'll pick a random year. We'll pick 2002 Worlds to start. We'll start at the beginning. It's got a little bit of a primer to what happened there. The 2002 World Championships took place in Seattle. It was the first and only Worlds hosted by the Wizards of the Coast, and the first World Championship to take place, and it showed the age divisions, what the grinder was, who won the division, who made it through the grinder, which I think is really cool, because a lot of the times the players who made it through the last chance qualifier, it's an accomplishment in its own right, but it kind of just disappears because people don't really remember who makes it through, besides the people that played that year or people who played in the subsequent years. So you can see household names: Ross Coffin, Nidish Daloob, Michael Pramawat, Yassine Sekoum, Luke Reed. In the 10 under division, Benjamin Sock. These are players who have made their names through the history of the game, and they started in 2002 by making it through the last chance qualifier. You can see banned cards, the legal sets, and the event promo cards and pricing. And some of these, obviously, they're not filled out like we talked about. There's results here that show exactly what decks people played with the list potentially if you'd like it. Wow, look at that. That's beautiful. You can click on Dylan Austin's 11 to 14 results, Bryson Bonham's results as well. Obviously, there's a lot missing, but the only way we can fill this out is if we can get everyone to contribute and get these things filled out. You can see the Professor Division. There's pictures and streams here. This had, look, these pictures are taken on old school cameras, your dad, your mom took them for you while you were there. this is so cool that this all happened in Seattle, Washington. This is the memories. These are the stuff that like people look back at, and it's crazy to think about that at this point. At one of these points, this was a World Championships compared to where we are now. Now let's look at Worlds. Like let's look at 2022 Worlds because it's the most latest one to see how much information Alex was able to garner in one that was more recent. It's got the entirety of the information showing how much you needed to get through day 1 to day 2, how many players competed. Day 2 consisted of how many players, again, how many rounds, and an asymmetric cut the first time that we've had an asymmetric cut. And then the Saturday we talked about the top 8, top 4 games, whatever. Had the London Open here as well. It showed the qualification threshold for this year. So if you want to go back and say, how difficult was it to qualify? You can see that specifically. Prizing is right here, the location as well. The casting team as well, which is a good thing to have because some of these casters will come and go as their lives move on. And it's great to have these people immortalized in history because they were a part of this iconic historic moment. You see the promo cards as well. And the distributed card that they had online, which is something new that they've been doing as well for these streams. And you can see the banned cards, which it's pretty funny to see some of these football cards banned. And the travel stipends as well, showing which players actually earned these automatic day 2 invites. So you can go back in history and say, which one of these players like actually came through day 1 with their own merit and who actually qualified through this automatic invite system. You can see Isaiah Bradner, number 1 NA. You can see Tor Reklev, number 1 EU. You can see some random players here like Gabriel Smart, Will Jenkins, Rowan Stavenall. Like you're like, oh, maybe I'm a huge Frank Persic fan. Frank made it through to day 2 automatically. Or you're in Europe and you're like, oh, I'm a huge Julius Brunfeld fan. Like I think Julius is 33rd. That's cool. You can see Gustavo Wada, number 1 in Latin America. You can see Kaiwin Kababe, number 1 Oceania. Like this is something information that a lot of people don't end up collecting because you think about it in that current season and then you move on past it. And then you can see lists, Andre Scooball's winning list. Looks like top 64 was the only thing collected here. I think I would love to see if, I would love to see every single deck in day 2 potentially, but that's a lot of effort and a lot of work, obviously, to put in. You can see Fabian Pujols, Palkia Jolteon deck, which is pretty cool. Like these players will post their lists and then that becomes something for you to enjoy. You can see Andre Scooball's winning pictures, his Twitter posts, the second place finisher, Daichi's posts, all that stuff. And you can see the pictures and streams, like all of these amazing pictures that people took, fans like you took. I'm trying to see if there's any ones I took that are in here that I sent over. And yeah, this one's me. I took this picture of the World's Competitor Kit. So pictures that you guys can take can also make it onto this website, which is really awesome. I get emotional looking at just Worlds in general because it's such a beautiful thing. Yeah, these are all my pictures. I can tell I took some pretty shitty photography. So yeah, this is some of these are me for sure. You can see the streams specifically as well. Yeah, and then that's the Worlds tab for you guys. You can go click through Worlds 2017, for example. You can see who was automatically day 2 in these years. Drew Bennett, for example, 15th place, also has done very, very well in the regional circuit this past year. So just awesome to see these kinds of things, the promo, all that stuff. So then you can go to major events, which will have other events, and the grayed out ones are the ones that Alex is working towards fulfilling. Obviously, the idea is to have every single important result, like every single major in history on this page, like 2010 Nats. You have the U.S. Nationals page by itself, which shows, what happened there, the results, the picks, the streams, all that stuff. There's people who have vlogs as well. So I'm sure actually if you could probably submit vlogs to Alex as well, and he'll probably put them on the website. But the cooler thing is you can see some of these lesser known nationals that they were really hard to find this information back in the day unless you're on Poke Beach, Poke Gym, and scouring these forums to find them. Like Australian nationals, you can see exactly the top 4, France nationals, German nationals back in the day. Some players you might see recognize names of. I have not recognized too many here, but 2010 was like right when I was starting. So, Diego Casaraga here winning nationals in Argentina, a name that we saw our 2017 world champion later on. Yeah, all this kind of stuff that's pretty cool. And then you have all these like ICs that are also listed here. Something very cool for people to have. And I think this is like a cool like benchmark in history to have all these like results eventually bookmarked. So before they fade off into like, whatever. And then we have decks as well from years and eras. Alex is working on them actively. Like if we click on 2012, you can see exactly what format and what decks were played. You can see the source Jay Hornung, top 16 fall regionals, Darkrai Garbodor, source 6 prizes. So Alex does credit you for sources as well. And there is build 1, build 2s showing exactly how people were building them. So even if you have a very specific build of, say, Garchomp, Torakion that you were playing, you could submit it as well. If you have results to kind of back it up. Kling Klang, a very popular deck that was played in a lot of different variations and forms. These kinds of decks just being there. And then you can go, obviously these are still being worked on, and Expanded is also a different format to kind of collect from. But like 2016, you can go click Primal Clash Evolutions and you can see kind of what was going on. Grafton Rolls top 8 internationals list. We had Darkrai Giratina, Michael Slutsky from 6 prizes. Like some of these lists and resources were, you don't even know that, Grafton Roll might have gotten top 8 with this. You don't even know that Michael Slutsky wrote the article on this. You don't even know that Martin Janus got top 16 with Houndoom at European IC. Like these are things that are really cool to have. And then you can go to the other tab, seeing the turn 1 rules specifically for each era. If you wanted to play those formats, you can go through here and there's like a doc for each of the eras, the WotC era, the Ruby Sapphire era. It shows exactly which year has what rule set, so you can learn and play with those rule sets if you are, trying to play those old school expansions or old school things. And here's an expansion list of every single time. How many cards are in each set, when they were released in the US, when they were released in Japan, etc., etc. Really cool log to have, like a timeline. Banned cards across history as well, showing exactly what the statements were that Pokemon made during the time of the ban and why they're here as such. There's a timeline that Alex did as well, which I think is pretty cool. He's still working on it, but it's like kind of got all these, like what was released, when it was released. Yeah, and then there's Japanese events here as well, which are a little bit harder to find, like CLs and Japan Championships specifically. But if you guys are watching and you're a Japanese player or have resources to this as well, please feel free to message Alex to help him out, because I know these are a little bit harder to get because they're not really publicized as well. There's an in memoriam tab, which I think is being worked on for players who have passed away that were legends of the game. And there's other sites, event calendar, also stuff being worked on, and then contact. So you guys can enjoy this website to the fullest. It's still a work in progress, but please bear in mind that Alex is putting a lot of effort into it and a lot of work. And I mean, you don't have to do anything for me on this video, but just go check out the website, show Alex that you love it, and that's all I ask of you guys. So thank you so much for watching this, and please, please, please enjoy Pokemon's rich history, and I hope you enjoyed this video as well. Just briefly breaking it down.